Hello and welcome to my review of the Saturnine Terminator squad for the Legiones Astartes for Warhammer the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop. Now, there's a reason why I've put 4 in front of you, and that's because you can now pick up 4 of them in a box set for £47.50, and that kit consists of 224 plastic components and 4 50mm round bases and a Legiones Astartes infantry transfer sheet containing 618 high quality waterslide transfers. So of course I'm reviewing these miniatures from the Saturnine Horus Heresy 3.0 box set, of which in that set were included. Not quite sure why they've gone for 4 when a unit is 3. Maybe they thought 3 in a box set was too few, or they couldn't work out, the pricing. If they were just going to sell you 3 in a set, maybe they thought that, £35 or even £40 for 3 was a bit too much. But then again, we're now talking almost £50 for 4 of them. The good news is, though, that they are a good set. So the structure of this review is as normal. We'll have a look at each one of these Saturnine Terminators up close. I'll go through any issues I had. I can't really show you the spare parts because there are a few spare parts that are on the sprue still, which I will be using for the final 2. But let's just say there are enough spare parts to equip all of them with at least 1 heavy disintegrator and at least 1 heavy plasma bombard. So just bear that in mind if you want to equip a few of them with like dual heavy disintegrators or dual plasma bombards. You would be getting 4 of each in this particular box set. And the same goes for the fists as well. You're pretty much getting the 3 different weapon options per half sprue. And that's the same for the particle shredder, I think it is, which is kind of like the little hand flamer thing, which is very decent, to be fair, and probably this edition's sleeper weapon. So let's have a look at these Terminators up close, and we'll go through any issues and things I had. First of all, they look decent. They're a fine rendition of the previous set that came out many years ago. What was it, 80s, 90s, something like that. I will say that they are wider, chunkier, thicker boys than the previous ones. The previous ones were the shoulder pads. If you just like Google old Saturnine Terminators, you'll see that they were mainly shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads were like taller and the whole model was a bit thinner, and they were mainly encased by those shoulder pads. So some people may like it, some people may not, because it's not kind of true to the OG, I guess. But I think it's fine. These are big shoulder pauldrons on a Terminator, and I'm not really sure it would work nowadays. I think this is the most Horus Heresy 40k kind of aesthetic that they could get away with without it looking like a completely different army. Are they Terminator-ish though? That's the thing. And also, how are the Space Marines in this suit of armour? Like, where are their arms? Are their arms like here and are their feet here? When you get bigger suits of armour like this, it's hard to understand, the physiology of what's encased in them, and it's, the location. The only issue you'll have, as you can probably will tell by these minis, is I think when I was building one, I probably put the pistons. I put 1 piston on the medial part of the leg rather than the lateral. Easy common mistake to make. And also the leg poses completely. So you've got a foot there that poses with the lower leg, and then the lower leg that poses with the thigh, and the thigh that poses with the hips. You've got like 6 contact points that you have to kind of adjust and move about while the glue is still kind of drying. But once you've got that set, and once you've got the feet set, everything else is just a doddle. Like, the weapons are super easy to put together. You might have some issues with the join lines for the disintegrator, but the plasma is literally in 3 pieces, just goes together like a dream. Disintegrator goes together in 2 pieces. These shoulder pauldron things can be a bit tricky, like these vent areas, and they consist of 4 parts each. You've got 4 different heads to choose from, which is quite nice, but that's it. So no different chest pieces, which would have been good to have them like blank maybe instead of this eagle. And also it would be good to have, you know, more weaponry. As I say, you can have 1 weapon per Saturnine Terminator, or you can double up on a few of them and like go crazy and have like double heavy disintegrators. This one is probably the worst pose. I don't know, is he tripping up? Is he stepping forward? Is he moving? I don't know what pose I've gone for here, but yeah, he's kind of sliding about there, and he's got one of these disruption fists, they're called. I guess it's a bit like a power fist, and then the particle shredder, which is just the sleeper weapon of the whole edition. It's a flamer with AP3. With AP3, I think damage 2. It's just insane. It's overload. It's a flamer that will most likely blow him up. And if that wasn't enough, he's got this heavy disintegrator as well. This one, I've gone for a similar pose as the Dreadnought, sort of firing off that plasma bombard. And then this one, again, I've gone for plasma bombard and firing the disintegrator. He's actually looking at what he's firing, a bit like the other one. So these 2, I'd probably say, are my favourite 2 poses out of the 4. That's the weakest, and then this one, which, yeah, the feet aren't even touching the floor, but well, I'll give him a pass for that. The next 2 are going to be amazing. Just watch this space. And the next 2, to give you an idea, will be equipped with heavy disintegrators and disruption fists. So I'll have 3 with the same weapon, 3 with the same weapon. That's what I've gone for, but by all means, you can go for, I think you can squeeze out 3 dual plasma bombards or 3 dual heavy disintegrators, you know, but if you do that, then you're going to have all plasma bombards for the other 3, or plasma bombards and fists for the other 3. I think the set is fine, even in an odd number of 4 of them. I will be picking up another 4 at some point. I don't know whether there'll be a close combat version. I think these are quite basic with the fists, but they do a lot of damage. They're very survivable. It's just trying to squeeze them literally into like a Land Raider or something like that, because I think a standard Land Raider struggles to fit 3 of them in with a transport capacity of 12, but you'll have no problem whatsoever putting, I think, all 6, which is the maximum in a unit, into a Land Raider Spartan, because I think that holds, what, 26 Space Marines? So yeah, and these are bulky 4 each. In terms of the spare parts, I mean, these were the spare parts. As I said, I can't really show you them as pieces that I've got left over. So as you can see, I've got 2 there. So you're getting 2 Terminators per sprue, and then you're getting 2 sets of the 3 weapons per sprue as well. So no doubt you'll get 4 sprues in the set, which is pretty nice. Okay, size comparisons then. I will give you a full Terminator size comparison, much like I did with the Dreadnought with its Dreadnought brethren. But first of all, let's compare them to other models in the Saturnine box set. So we've got the Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor, the big boy, the leader of these chunky boys. He is, well, he's taller just because of that pose and this halo type thing he's got, and his hammer is just too big. It's just gigantic, isn't it? Can you imagine these having those size hammers and probably shields as well? I'm probably giving them ideas actually, but yeah, that's where they stand next to him. The Centurion is feeling a bit small. Yeah, a bit small surrounded by these big guys, but that's where he stands up. He's about to get absolutely pulverized. We've got the Saturnine Dreadnought in the background there. So yeah, these sort of mill about him, I guess. They're probably not even up to his chest, just past his hips. So yeah, and then we've got the quad accelerator platform. So compared to other Terminators then, the previous big boys on the block were the Aquilon Custodes Terminators of here. Here is one, and they are actually on the same size bases, these whopping 50mm bases. And yeah, they are now bigger than the Custodes Terminators. Much like, I think the size is more apparent there with those than it was between the Telemon and the Saturnine Dreadnought. There's not much in it between the two Dreadnoughts, but definitely with the Aquilon Terminators and the Saturnine, there's more of a size increase. Compared to other Horus Heresy Terminators, so we've got Death Guard for this example, so I've got Grave Wardens and Death Shroud Terminators, both in their corresponding Cataphractii Terminator armour and Tartarus Terminator armour. Tartarus has always been smaller, it seems, but yeah, compared to these big boys, they're like, what, probably just a bit bigger than half the size of them. So yeah, these are huge Terminators. But I think possibly what you were waiting for was the size comparison with the old 40k Terminators, which are a similar sort of size to the Horus Heresy ones, understandably. But then, compared to the new Primaris Terminators, right here, yes, the Custodes are, it's difficult to say. The Custodes are like wider and sort of bigger overall, but the Primaris ones are definitely, I mean, especially with like the Cyclone missile launcher, they're getting there, aren't they? You see? And as Games Workshop said a while ago, they can be Firstborn in here, or they can be Primaris. They're not all Primaris in those Terminator suits. So there is that. But yeah, even compared to the new Primaris Terminators, the Saturnine are the biggest. So they now hold the crown of the biggest Terminators in the sort of Warhammer universe. Like the Saturnine Dreadnought is now the largest Dreadnought. Just because I can, I thought I'd give you a comparison of these big boys next to like a Contemptor. Yeah, they're not quite as big as the Contemptor, but next to a boxy Dreadnought, here we go. Look at that. Almost the same size as a Dreadnought. Yeah, if this carries on going in the next 20 years, we'll have Space Marines as big as Contemptors. Maybe. I don't know. Compared to your standard Horus Heresy Space Marines, though, I have Mark IV and Mark III, and new Mark III and Mark VI. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they almost look like they're from a different game system. They have a few aesthetic similarities. Yeah, they're going to tower over just general Space Marines and, as you've just seen, any kind of Terminators. Final comparison is with the 40k minis, of course, and here we go. So we've got Slimarbo, we've got a Primaris, so a fair bit bigger than Primaris, and way bigger than a standard Firstborn. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Saturnine Terminators. Now you'll find them in the brand new category Heavy Assault, which might as well just be called the Terminator section because it includes the Cataphractii, the Tartarus and the Saturnines. So no love for the Domitus pattern, you know, the dog face pattern, which were around in the Horus Heresy, and maybe we'll get some legacy rules like we did in 2nd edition. So a set of these, remember there's only 3 in a unit, will cost you 200 points. So that means 3 of them will cost 50 points more than a unit of 5 Tartarus or Cataphractii Terminators. So you're getting 2 Terminators less, but having to spend 200 points. Now the box set, which includes 4, means that you're going to have to spend another 60 points. So when you consider that Tartarus are 30 points extra and Cataphractii are 30 points, you're spending like double the points per Terminator. So this unit here would cost 260 points, and we haven't even talked about the weapons yet. Let's talk about the stat line first of all. You've got 2 Saturnine Terminators and 1 Saturnine Terminator Sergeant. Oddly though, the Sergeant has exactly the same stat line as the normal Saturnine Terminators. I'm sure it's a misprint because that doesn't happen in hardly any places in the whole of the book. The Cataphractii Sergeant has 1 more attack, and so does the Tartarus. It would have been nice if the Saturnine Sergeant had 1 extra attack, had 3 attacks, because then you'd give him the fist, clearly. So the movement speed is 5 inches, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 6, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 8, cool 8, willpower 7, intelligence 7, save of 2+, and an invulnerable 4+ save. As I say, the Sergeant stat line is exactly the same. Compared to the Cataphractii, they're actually slower. And, you know, Cataphractii are movement of 6 inches, Saturnines are 5 inches, Tartarus are pretty speedy at 7 inches. But the rest of the stat line, the Saturnine have a better toughness at 6 instead of the 5, and they have 1 extra wound, but they are slower with the initiative 3 instead of 4. The Tartarus, as I've mentioned, are faster. They have a worse toughness at 5, 1 wound less at 2, but they're quicker with that initiative 4, and they have the same number of attacks, but of course the Sergeant for both of them have those 3 attacks. War gear: Plasma Bombard, Saturnine Disruption Fist, Oculix, Targeting Auspex, Thermal Diffraction Field. Special rules: Bulky 4, Explode 6+, Implacable Advance, Slow and Purposeful. Traits: Allegiance, Legiones Astartes. Type: Saturnine Terminator Sergeant is Infantry Sergeant Heavy, and the Saturnine Terminator is Infantry Heavy. Options: any model in this unit may have its Saturnine Disruption Fist exchange for one of the following: a Plasma Bombard for free, so they can all go around with Plasma Bombards for no points extra, or a Twin Heavy Disintegrator for plus 10 points per model. So you're having to pay for those Twin Heavy Disintegrators. Luckily they're not that many points each though. Any model in this unit may have its Plasma Bombard exchange for 1 Twin Heavy Disintegrator for 10 points per model. So again, that means you could have 2 Heavy Disintegrators. Any model in this unit with a Saturnine Disruption Fist may have 1 Particle Shredder selected for it for plus 5 points per model. Definitely worth it. Easily. If you're going for your fist, get that Particle Shredder on there as well. War gear: Oculix, Targeting Auspex. When a model with an Oculix targeting Auspex is selected to make a shooting attack, if that model's unit remains stationary in the controlling player's preceding movement phase, that model gains the Firing Protocols 2 special rule, and the shooting attack is fully resolved. Now, Firing Protocols with an X, so that means Firing Protocols 2, just means that it may attack with more than 1 ranged weapon. It attacks with a number of weapons equal to the value of X attached to the specific variant of the Firing Protocols X special rule. The model must have more than 1 ranged weapon to make use of this special rule, and may not use the same weapon more than once in the same shooting attack. So all that means is, it means that if it stays still, it can fire both of its weapons. That's all it means. But it can't fire the same weapon more than once. So if they stay still, they can fire both the Plasma and the Heavy Disintegrator. If they move, obviously, you know, they're going to only be able to fire with 1, which kind of defeats the whole point of them in a way, them being slow and heavy and kind of sacrificing a lot, really, to be able to fire both of their weapons. Now, we'll talk about their weapons, but let me just touch upon that thermal diffraction field. It works exactly the same as the Dreadnought's thermal diffraction field, where it reduces the damage of wounds inflicted by weapons with specific traits. So that means that it will reduce the strength of all hits inflicted on it by weapons with the Las, Plasma, Melter and Flame trait by -1. In addition, when any misfire groups are generated by a model with a thermal diffraction field as a result of the Overload X special rule, any instance of the Breaching X special rule on those hits will only take effect on a wound test result of 6+, regardless of the value of X. So they're helping themselves against the overload that they have with the thermal diffraction field. Now, let's talk about the weapons. So the plasma bombards, which I talked about the heavy plasma bombard in the Dreadnought review. The plasma bombard is a shorter range, so it's not quite a plasma cannon, which is 36-inch range, but it has two firing profiles, much like all plasma weapons. The first one, which is sustained fire, has a range of 24 inches, firepower 1, so one shot, range strength of 6, AP 4, damage 1. It's a small blast marker, so it's only 3 inch. It's barrage 1 and it's breaching 6+. Or they can opt to use maximal fire, which is same range, 24 inches, firepower 1, range strength 7, AP 4, damage 1, same blast 3-inch marker, barrage 1, but the breaching is 5+, but then they get the overload 2. So I don't know whether that's worth it. Same 3-inch blast, but you're just getting 1 extra strength and 1 better breaching. But, you know, on a 2+ to hit, you're going to be overloading them, but at least you've got that thermal diffraction field. Then the twin heavy disintegrator, which is one of the new kids on the block. It is a 24-inch range, firepower 2, so 2 shots, range strength 7, AP 2, damage 2, overload 2. So it's similar to the disintegrator cannon that the Dreadnought has, but it just has strength 7 instead of 9, and it has damage 2 instead of 3. So I think they're very, very good, but of course they have that overload 2 debuff. You know, and if you've got 3 of them, and they're using firing protocols, and you're firing off 6 twin heavy disintegrators, which would be 12 shots, yeah, good luck not getting any 1s and 2s with those 12 shots. But the damage output that 12 strength 7 AP2 damage 2 shots will take upon your enemy will be glorious. Now the other weapons that they have, or could have, is the Saturnine Disruption Fist. Although I've only equipped one of these with one, it's worth mentioning it in case you want to equip like all of them with them. So the Saturnine Disruption Fist, it has an initiative modifier of -2, which means their initiative is only 3 already, so it's going to drop down to 1, so they'll probably hit last. The attack modifier is just attacks, so they're only getting 2 attacks. The strength modifier is +2, so that's strength 6, so not the best, so it's not like a proper power fist then, is it? Armor penetration is 2 and the damage is 3. So it's nice armor penetration and very good damage, but they're going to be hitting last, and it's just not as good as a power fist. I mean, they are a bit faster than a power fist, but nowhere near the strength, and it's the same armor penetration. Personally, I would have preferred them to have some kind of variant of the power fist, like strength 9 or something, rather than just strength +2. It seems odd that they've got like a weaker version of like normal Terminator's fists on those suits. And then the sleeper weapon of this unit is, of course, the particle shredder. Don't leave home without one. It is a flamer weapon, or it's a particle weapon actually, but it's got the flamer template. Its firepower is 1, so you get 1 template per particle shredder. Its range strength is 6, which is alright, it's decent. Armor penetration is 3 though. Damage is only 1, but its template, breaching 6+, and overload 1. So don't let that armor penetration 3 get you down. You know, it is breaching 6+ at the end of the day, so you could still potentially flame Terminators with it and potentially force their invulnerable saves. But it's nice just having those AP3 flamers to melt, you know, a unit of 10 or 20 standard Space Marines. You may not even need 3 particle shredders, but if I had a unit of 3 and I was running fists, I'd definitely have them. For the extra 5 points per model, they would make their points back if you fired them into standard Space Marines. And there you go. That is my review of the Saturnine Terminator squad. They are slow. They're a little bit tougher. They have that 4+ invulnerable, but then again, so does the Cataphractii, and the Cataphractii are faster, and they technically have more attacks, but their weapons just don't cut it compared to these ones. These Saturnine Terminators are like walking weapons platform. The main reason you're going to get them is the particle shredders and the twin heavy disintegrators. The plasma bombards are all right, and the thermal diffraction field needs a shout out, because the other two Terminators don't get anything like that. Which means although they are slow, they can walk about the battlefield in relative safety. Like, because they cost so many points, there's not a massive push of trying to squeeze all 4 of them in a Land Raider Spartan. And of course, if you did that anyway, you're going to be sinking, what, almost 300 points into a 400 point vehicle. So when all said and done, it's probably going to be 700, 800 points just in 2 units, which is quite a tasty, tempting target for your opponent to fire 10 las cannons into. But it would make up for their movement and their relatively short-range weapons. I think these models are great. I think they're a decent homage to the older models back in the 80s, 90s. Did we need them? Did we need the Saturnine Dreadnought? I'm not sure. I know that we didn't really need Horus Heresy 3.0 and all the changes of the rules and things, especially Titans, but that's a topic for another video. I'm just glad we got all brand new miniatures in this set compared to the Horus Heresy 2.0 Age of Darkness set. Like the Dreadnought, I think there's something missing. I would like some kind of like little rocket pod or something, like a little Phosphex missile pod on the back, or I don't know. I just think there's one thing, just one thing missing, like with the Dreadnought. I can't quite put my finger on it. But what do you guys think of these Saturnine Terminators? We finally got the biggest Terminators available. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and use this opportunity to let us all know what your favourite Terminator armour is in this whole universe. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.